Hi, Khotso. So great to have you here today.
Can translate part of that song, because I can hear that there is some dialect used in the.
It's more of a joy. It's a great music. A way of relaxing. The beats are very nice.
Yeah, I love that. I guess Vidi is homesick.
Well, it's 5 past, so I think that it's a good time for us to start. And welcome everybody to the 4th Africa Dialogue series. We are really delighted by the level of interest expressed in this topic, teacher well-being. So incredibly important. We actually had a discussion. It's really about human well-being. Less specifically than only teachers, but just how important our teachers are, and to ensure that in the circumstances they're facing, particularly now, we are conscious of and paying attention to supporting their own levels of well-being. And so I'm going to hand over to Aziz for the moment to just give us a very brief introduction to today's session. As everybody joins, please do just put your name into the chat group and share with us the country that you're from and why you're interested in the topic.
Your internet is a little bit choppy. If you can just maybe turn off your camera and try.
Sure, I hope that's better. And I'm going to move. But Aziz, to hand over to you. And if you could please just introduce us to today's topic.
Yes, hi everyone. We welcome you all again to this session. And today's topic, as Robin has said, is teacher well-being. We know, of course, that this is an important topic for all of us today. Everybody is talking about well-being. We would like, as you have already seen, for those of you who have been present with us through the Africa Voices dialogue session, we want to set the conversation and base it on our experiences, and teachers and educators' experiences, and maybe students and learners' experiences as well, because at the end, everything overlaps. So that's the topic we have chose for today's session. Robin, I don't know if you're going to share the PowerPoint presentation.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, what we've made today's session slightly longer. We wanted to take 15 minutes just to position where we sit in terms of our dreams and hopes and intent for these dialogue spaces together, and really just to share with you as a remarkable and rapidly growing community of educators, activists, students, learners across our continent and beyond. We have a wonderful number of people joining these dialogues from a wide variety of places. But we wanted to share with you really some of the hopes and dreams and aspirations that we have in setting these dialogues up, and to share our intent and where we're hoping to go, and a little bit of a retrospective around where we've come from, and then to lead into this particularly important conversation on teacher well-being. And so, in essence, what our intention is with the Africa Voices dialogue is to create a space where Africa's voices are seen, heard, and loved. Not to create a space where only the important kind of policymakers or decision makers or researchers, but a space for where people who are working in schools, in education, in communities are able to engage with each other and have their voices seen, heard, and loved, and their experiences validated, mirrored, and reflected, so that we really develop a sense of belonging together. And just in terms of housekeeping for this session in particular, but in general for all of our sessions, the principles that we hope to hold to are to ensure the fact that every voice matters, and that in these dialogues we create a space for every voice to be heard. We really love engagement. It's difficult when they're large groups, and these groups are often sort of 60, 70, up to 100 strong by the time we get moving. We love to have engagement from the holding circle, so please make use of the chat function as much as possible, and we also try and create spaces for those opportunities for engagement to be brought in. And it's also about creating linkages and connections between us. So not only via the dialogue series, but actually creating the linkages between us as we speak to each other, as we see people presenting, or when we're in the breakaway room, somebody that there's a sudden resonance with. Please use the platform, use this forum to connect with each other and to have ongoing conversations with each other too. We try and create as much breakout room capacity. We're doing something slightly different today, which we'll share with you later. And in the breakout rooms, what is important is that we use principles, time to think, community building principles, where we really pay attention to the fact that equality of thought and freedom of expression matter, that lived experiences matter. It's not about theory, it's about what my lived experience is and how that feels and how it impacts on me, and creating space, being conscious within those groups of really looking for every voice. So if there are people who maybe haven't had a chance to speak, to draw them in and welcome, ask for that voice. You don't have to speak, of course, as well, is the other thing, but we do want to hear. And then, yes, essentially just to come with your full heart and mind. We are human beings in this session. There are no experts here. Experts are human beings too, so those experts that are here are welcomed. But what we're looking for is we're looking for our humanity to be present and to connect with each other. So very, very briefly, just to revisit, our purpose and mantra is to create a space for every voice to be seen, heard, and loved, and to create this opportunity for the co-creation of authentic belonging and activation of potential for educators, learners, and communities across our African continent and beyond. Less about expertise, more about experience. Every voice matters. Our whole is more than the sum of parts, and we are really seeking meaningful learning into our everyday reality. Very quickly, our journey so far. We started this dialogue series in September last year, and we've so far run 3 dialogues and a workshop, which have been really incredible experiences. We as coordinators have so loved this experience, and just want to express our gratitude to everyone in this dialogue who's participated in the previous dialogues, because the richness that's come through has been truly wonderful. And our hopes for the future essentially are to co-create spaces of belonging and to continue to co-create these spaces of belonging flexibly, without having a set agenda, but holding to that intention all the time of co-creating belonging, and in everything that we do to be looking for that. We're hoping to really reach all countries in Africa and to hear the experiences of every country on this continent, connecting to the other countries on the continent, to start facilitating strong, supportive peer learning networks, and support the co-creation of community-based learning ecosystems. And then we do have a particular hope of being able to welcome in practitioner and learner-led research hubs that really draw on the experience of practitioners and learners in community about the reality of what they are experiencing on the ground. and through that research to start to amplify that voice into more and more forums that allow us to collectively have an impact on our understanding of what is happening on our continent, not only in education, but in fact in our communities. And most importantly, to continue maintaining a clear focus on generating environments that hold community, learner and educator well-being and growth at their center. This is just a little outline of what we are hoping for the coming year. So today is Africa Voices Dialogue 4. In about a month, 6 weeks, we'll hold a second workshop. As we go through today's session, we hope that what will emerge is what is most necessary for that workshop. So we would love your input, please, on what you feel would be really valuable for that workshop. And then we have the fifth dialogue, which we are hoping Uganda will host. We will be presenting at ICSI. And so it goes with a real hope for rhythm and regularity and building our community of educators and learners across the continent. And finally, that sort of sums it up, the space we're hoping to create. And so with that, Aziz, I would love to hand over to you. If you could please just introduce us to this topic and introduce us to the amazing speakers that we have with us today.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much. We are pleased to have everyone with us again. Of course, as we have done through the sessions that we have had so far, we always have one country virtually hosting Africa Voices Dialogue, and it is our pleasure to be in a country each session. We hopefully will be in those countries one day. We are going to maybe go on a tour around African countries and meet our brothers, and bridge the gaps, hopefully, when this pandemic is over soon. Today, as I told you, Kenya is virtually hosting this session that has the title Teacher Wellbeing, and the hosts, the speakers of today's session are Dr. Lucy Wakiaga from Tangaza University College in Kenya. We have Angeline Mutei Mozioki. I hope that I'm pronouncing the names correctly, from a secondary school, who is a secondary school principal in Kenya. And we have our friend and partner, Andrew Wambua, who is the co-founder of Africa Voices Dialogue. And as you have seen, we have Robin with us moderating this session. We welcome all of you. Hi, Karima, how are you? Nice to see you again. So the topic, I hope that you have my slides, Robin.
No, I'm afraid, as I said, no.
Okay, so give me a few seconds, just maybe 2 seconds to share them. They are already here.
Wonderful. Let me know when I can stop sharing and then I'll do so.
Yes, sure. So the topic that we chose today is teachers' well-being, because you know that today's world has been going through tumultuous times. It hasn't been easy for all of us to navigate the pandemic. People from all walks of life have been faced with confusion, and well, it hasn't been easy, as I said. It has not been easy, especially for people working in the education sector, to navigate the difficulties, as much pressure has been put on educators, teachers, and learners. And that's why we opted for this choice of topic, because we want you together with us to hold a conversation. So I am not, as we have seen in Africa Voices dialogue sessions, as we said, we are not speaking as experts, or we just want to share experiences. And I hope that you see my PowerPoint presentation, everyone. Robin, is it on? Great.
Yes.
So as I said, it has been very difficult to navigate through these hard times for all of us from different professions. Education has been disrupted, and different countries around the globe and in Africa, of course, have had different choices to make. And I am sure that, let's say, most of us have not been satisfied with the choices we made, because we have been used to a normal way of life and a normal way of education people for a long time, and nobody expected this disruption to happen, so we were not ready for it. And well, there is a model that describes times like these, turbulent times like these, using 4 adjectives or 4 words. These have been volatile times. These have been uncertain times, very complex moments, and ambiguous moments. So it's not easy to deal with these all these difficulties. And as I said, these are things that have not been anticipated. For teachers, the role of teachers have switched from, the role of someone who would go to school and educate kids or educate students, to more demands and more pressure. From the UNICEF, we have the ideas like the important role of teachers in ensuring children continue learning has been the prior, let's say, demand put on teachers, and that put them at the forefront of safe school operation, well-being and learning, because you know that our students themselves have been going through this, they have been suffering. So the teachers were asked to kind of provide a safe environment, whether online or offline. In crisis situations, teachers are also called upon to provide psychosocial support to create a safe and supportive interaction, and to include specific structured psychosocial activities to help vulnerable students. And as a result, of course, teachers' workload becomes quite high and leading to high levels of stress and physical complaints, and hence the choice of well-being, or the importance of well-being, or teachers' well-being in such times. So teachers' well-being in research, of course, has also been linked or tied to the students' well-being, because it affects a set of things like the quality of their work, the quality of teachers' work, and the quality of learners' performance as well, or learning, the quality of their relationships with their students, their overall teacher performance, their student psychological well-being and mental health. And you have seen that these are not things to take for granted. They require a huge amount of effort, a huge amount of sacrifice, but at the same time, it requires teachers who are well and feel well in order to provide all this support. Now, understanding well-being, if you want to go through the review of literature, you're going to find a plethora of theories that will take you through different types of well-being, if we can say that, from the hedonic perspective to the desire theories, to eudaimonic theories, to subjectivist theories, to objectivist theories. I'm not going to state them, to cite them here, but just to tell you that, yes, there are plenty of theories on well-being, and it has been studied immensely. But still, the definition of well-being is, as Thomas said, intangible, difficult to define, and even harder to measure, which means that it is not easy to capture well-being. And the conversation of today, we would like to try to capture well-being from our experiences and how we have experienced it. I like this model because it kind of tries to juxtapose two concepts here: the challenges and the resources, and seeing well-being as a balance, or striking a balance between those psychological, social, physical resources and the psychological, social, and physical challenges. I know that we can add more than the psychological and social, physical resources or challenges to the balance, but this equilibrium, if it is created, would lead to, let's say, better well-being. However, you all know that a scanning or an examination of the situation as we see it today when it comes to teachers would tilt the equilibrium into one side, yes? And now today's challenges, when I looked at research done with teachers' well-being in Africa, first, I have found that there is paucity of research. There isn't enough research done in the African continent when it comes to teachers' well-being, but there are some challenges. And I've scanned not many. I've found like not more than 4 or 5 articles that really directly deal with teachers' well-being. One of them was done in Morocco, and the researchers, Amri et al. 2020, found out that 54% of primary school teachers in Morocco were victims of burnout, and they found out that the factors associated with the burnout among these teachers were associated with the perceived levels of requirements and available resources. And this takes us back to the model we have just showed. And there are studies. Most of the studies were done in South Africa. Some studies were done in Uganda and Zimbabwe. And in Zimbabwe, for example, recently they have found that over 10,000 teachers reportedly resigned from their jobs between September and December 2020, and this has been dubbed a crisis in Zimbabwe. Again, 99.9% of all remaining teachers, as it was stated in one of the articles, have mentally resigned from the profession, although they physically remain at their stations. And you can see a picture from a newspaper in I think Uganda, that says that ignored many teachers are quitting the profession in the COVID lockdown. Now, finally, from all what we have stated, I think that we have to set an agenda together. By the way, we are on the way of launching a research lab in Africa Voices Dialogue, and all of you are welcome to join us if you feel like you want to do research with Africa Voices Dialogue. So setting the agenda for teachers' well-being, I think that there is need for more research on teacher well-being in African context. As I told you, these are the 3 studies I have found online. I've been Googling it for quite some time now. I've found only 3 studies that deal directly with the teachers' well-being in Africa. There is need for an African teachers' well-being index. There are teachers' well-being indices in some countries, not many, but in a few countries, but we need one. I think it's time to get together as researchers, educators, and people who are interested in teachers' well-being to maybe come up with an index on teachers' well-being. There is also a need for more conversations and dialogues about the present-day situation. That's what we're doing today through Africa Voices Dialogue. And there is a need for a context-specific framework for better well-being for African teachers based on the African experience. That's all I have to say about teachers' well-being in Africa. But the conversation goes on with our speakers, Lucy, Angelina, and Andrew. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Aziz. That was really powerful and very interesting. I think just to give us a little bit of a contextual background for our specific continent. So what we would love to do with you now, what we would love to ask you is actually just where you are right in this moment, thinking back into maybe your past week or 2 weeks since we've restarted the 2021 school year. for all of those of you who are educators, and for all of those,
You don't mind
we would love you to share your personal experience, how you have felt in terms of your own well-being. Sorry, just whoever is talking, just to mute, thanks. And then for all of those of you who are not necessarily teachers, but who can feel through your children, through your community, what is happening in the teachers in your world, your community, your children's schools, to give your thoughts about what do you feel the state of teacher well-being is at the moment. So just so that everybody, if there is anybody who is unfamiliar with how the polls work, if you look, there is a little black bar, usually on either the bottom or the top of your screen, which looks a bit like this. So it has the security, participants, and then there is a sort of bar chart that says polls. Click on the polls once I've opened them, and you will see the poll will pop up, and then you enter on that poll, just click on the answer that you feel is accurate and most representative of your space. And what we really want to do now is just get a sense of, in the room, what is our collective feeling about this issue. So I'm going to open the poll, and if we could all just participate, we'll give 60 seconds or so, and then we'll have a look at what this room is feeling. Thank you. Okay, so we've got most people have voted, still about another 15 or so to come through. And just to ask, if you are not, if you are unmuted at the moment, would you mind to just mute, just to keep the background noise to a minimum?
Okay.
Okay, another 10 seconds, and then what we'll do is just pull it up and have a look at what the room collectively feels. Okay. So let's share those. So we didn't have everybody answer. We had I think about 40 out of 49 answers coming through, but I think it's really representative. And as you see, they're predominantly adequate to poor. And so we'd really love to do a little further exploration and digging into, well, what does that mean? And what do we actually ideally want in terms of teacher well-being? How well do teachers need to be to do the work that we're asking them to do in terms of our community well-being and our children's well-being? So thank you all for participating in that little exercise. And just to go into the last final bit of sort of process before we launch into our discussion today with Lucy, Angelina, and all of you. Just to say that today we are going to be holding a conversational circle with Lucy and Angelina, who Andrew will introduce more thoroughly in a few moments. And then we have quite a long session set aside for us to all participate and share our thoughts about what does teacher well-being mean to us, and experientially, how are we finding that this is showing up in our lives. And with that, I would love to hand over to you, Andrew, to please introduce Lucy and Angelina. Then I will stop the share, and Lucy and Angelina, if you would like to continue with the conversation for the moment. Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Robin. Thank you so much, Abdelaziz, and welcome all the participants to this day's event. We expect that it will be a very engaging one. So let us use this opportunity to learn, because we are all learning in these uncertain times. As we said, as we continue with this topic, let us ask ourselves, how does the teacher's well-being look like? And in all of this process, of course, we expect the session to be very engaging, bearing in mind that none of us is as smart as all of us. So no one is perfect, but our team can be. We are all learners in this session, and then we are all under this one umbrella of Africa Voices Dialogue. And as the session goes on, and as we break to different rooms, let us endeavor to network also. In as much as we are learning, let us endeavor to learn, to know each other. Let us endeavor to network, because through these networks, we are becoming one big family of learners, educators, and researchers. As Robin and Aziz have said, today's session is being hosted by Kenya, and we have two wonderful ladies who I'm going to give each one of them a minute to introduce themselves. And I'll start with the Angelina, 1 minute. You introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this forum. I'm Angelina Montei Musyoki. I am a high school principal with a teaching experience of over 25 years and having been an administrator for the last 9 years. I am from Kenya, where I had a school of over 800 girls who are in a boarding school. In a school we call Extra County School, which is almost one level to be a national school, where we host students from all over our country and where we engage them for the better part of the year. As a teacher, students are home only around 3 months in a year, and the remaining 9 months, they are with the teachers in the school. So I'm very happy to be part of the host of this team, which is discussing teacher well-being, which is fundamental in the well-being of a student in teaching and learning. Welcome to this session.
Thank you so much, Angeline. Lucy, take a minute to introduce yourself, please. Lucy Wakianga, take a minute to introduce yourself, please. You are muted. You are muted, Lucy. Lucy, you are muted.
Oh, I was muted. So sorry about that. So let me start again and try and remember what I had said on mute. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us, and I'm also humbled to be with everyone. It's just wonderful to be here amongst all the wonderful educators and also those who are not educators but have joined us. I am a senior lecturer at Tangaza University College. and I've been in the education profession for close to Angelina's years. I'm also 24 years plus in the profession. And I have spent, I think, 23 and a half years of my professional life in the field of education. I just deviated a bit. 6 months worked in a corporate company, absolutely did not like it, and went right back to teaching. So that is the passion I have for what I do, and I've had experiences all across the full spectrum of education, from early childhood to elementary school, to middle school, to high school, to college. So I'm looking forward to this session and just sharing my experiences, Angeline also sharing, and we'll also hear from all of us, as Robin, Andrew, Aziz have said. The two of us are just facilitating the conversation, but we are not the custodians of knowledge. It's all a sharing circle, as the three of them have been so gracious to allow us to have. So thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Thank you so much, Angeline. As they say, a football game is not made successful by one player, but it is made successful by all the players. So the success of a team is determined by all the members. And when we meet here today to converse, to have a conversation about teachers' well-being at a time like this, because a happy teacher translates to a happy student. Or if a teacher is happy, then the student will be happy. So let us think about how this topic deeply, we have a conversation, and at the same time we learn, because we are all learners. So back to you, Robin.
Thank you so much, Andrew. So, Lucy and Angelina, what we would love, we would really love to hear from you a little of your experience from your vantage points, not kind of over the past years, but actually in this moment in time, what your perception and experience is of the state of well-being of the teachers in your circles, and what the issues are specific to your context. So Angelina, obviously you're in school, in the space where teachers are really working on the ground. So we would love to hear from you what your experience over this period, specifically of the pandemic, but perhaps how the general way we have attended to teacher well-being is manifesting as we enter into extremely stressful times. How has that shown up in your school? And then Lucy, if you could pick up on that from your experience in the training space, what you are seeing. Angelina, perhaps 5 minutes or so just to share your thoughts.
Thank you, Robin. So far, so good. And I would like to say that other than having been joined in the teaching profession or in the schools by teachers who may have some kind of disturbances which we may need to put into consideration, teacher well-being is very paramount. First and foremost, mental well-being of the teacher. After the pandemic, we realized that we may assume teachers did not bear the brunt of the pandemic, and thus we may have assumed that the teachers are not suffering. But a teacher is expected to give so much, may be underrated as to the rate at which the teacher has been affected. I would say the teacher's mental well-being is very paramount, because a mentally disturbed teacher, a teacher who has some problems and could not have had a forum to share or a person to help, that teacher will not deliver in class. And this is why we should always get concerned and look at the emotional well-being of a teacher and see how we can support. Because a teacher who is emotionally down will not deliver well in the classroom. That as administrators or people who are in charge of teachers in schools, we are called upon to give them a conducive teaching environment? Are we taking care of their well-being? Do these teachers even get, whether it's a cup of tea in school or a meal in school, such that this teacher is a happy teacher? Are we also taking into consideration that the government should pay the teacher well? Because if a teacher is not paid well, he is likely to engage his energies elsewhere and only come to school as a result of having been employed in school. Therefore, the financial well-being of a teacher should also be taken care of. Notwithstanding also, teachers need to get some financial knowledge so as to be in a position to manage their finances well, so that they are not highly indebted and therefore they are not even comfortable with whatever, or they cannot make ends meet with whatever they get from the employer. Thank you, Robin, for the time.
Thank you. Thanks. So Lucy, perhaps just your perspective on what you've seen, what the feeling is, what is happening in the Kenyan environment at the moment.
Well, I would just kind of add on to what Angelina has said. I know we are both in the trenches, but from different angles. For me, being in higher education and her being in the, the basic education spectrum. But even having said that, we see a lot of interconnectivity in terms of just the current situation and how best are we managing it for educators across the continuum. So as Angelina rightly said, thinking about what kinds of supports are there. And we see from the Kenyan context that from the onset of COVID, and I think, we give the government some kudos for having made attempts to put measures in place early enough so that we can try and contain the COVID, because people didn't know how COVID was going to pan out in Kenya, because different situations, the COVID pandemic has been panning out differently. So for us in Kenya, schools were closed March of 2020. And that was when just, I think, probably a single case had been announced in the country. And so we've had situations whereby the entire school system was shut down until when first reopening began in October last year, with certain levels opening, and then eventually January this year, the entire school system was opened. But what we have seen in this little time have been quite a bit of teething problems. And in spite of even having a school reopening task force, whereby stakeholders, views of stakeholders were gathered from the public and put together as a report and shared out for people to be, for ways the government could find approaches to safely reopen schools. And one of the things that was really emphasized was when the teachers are coming back, what preparations are in place in terms of their psychosocial support. Because as Angeline said, we also have to think about these teachers. These many months they were out of school, lost income. We know that for public school, their salaries were not interfered with, they were still being paid. But we also have in the same public schools, board of management teachers whose remuneration either delayed or has not reached them. Then we have the effects in the private schools, where the private schools gradually with time were forced to shut down. And we saw a lot of teachers in the private schools losing their jobs. And there were even some private schools which shut down, and the owners decided to convert them from education into other kinds of businesses. So when we look at teacher well-being, and we look at this current situation, Robin, as you have said, what is happening currently, we see that there have been a lot of challenges, and how else is it manifesting itself? It is not a secret. High schools in Kenya have been banning, not all of them we've had, but quite a few cases. We've had around 17 to 20 cases of schools being banned, fire outbreaks in the schools. And the students are saying that, there are all kinds of challenges that they're experiencing coming back. So we can imagine students facing these challenges. They are with the same teachers who are facing the same challenges. And as we were having our pre-session discussion, talking about how does a teacher react to a student when they have just come back, and this is a new normal for everyone. So it is not the same approach this teacher was using in March 2020. It is a different time. And so what psychosocial supports have been given to the teachers so that they can be able to acculturize the students once again to this new normal environment. So maybe I might want to stop there as we continue further on with the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lucy, because of those are very strong and key, very strong points from Angeline and Lucy. Actually, in this time of COVID, whereby we are faced by so many challenges, the question is, how can we make a teacher be happy? How can we meet the social, emotional, financial, physical, and mental well-being of all these teachers? Because according to research, if a teacher is not happy, definitely the students will not be happy. But if you meet the needs of the teacher, that is well socially, is well emotionally, is well financially, is well physically, as well as mentally, then this teacher will turn to be collaborative, this turn to be reflective, and teacher will turn, we're in the 21st century. And when you talk about schools banning, or when you talk about students touching their schools, it means there's something lacking. It means that there's a kind of a barrier between the system and the school system. So the question is, how can we bridge this gap? How can we ensure that the teacher is happy? And if the student is happy, definitely that one will translate into improvement of performance. But again, the social factor is very important. What is causing the skirmishes in schools? Those are some of the discussions which we should be handling as we go on deeper in our discussion.
Thank you, Andrew. So perhaps just another question for another minute or two.
Yes. Yeah, I've been listening to you all. It's been interesting to hear all those perspectives. Maybe as I was reading about well-being from here and there, as I showed, I found out that there are all those perspectives that either view well-being from the inside out or from the outside in. And I know that the ecosystem around us needs some healing. But let me ask a question that has just dawned on my head. In times like these, Lucy and Angelina, and it's a question that everyone can discuss later when we are in the rooms or after the rooms, the breakout rooms. What can teachers do in times like these to feel well and to deal with the situation?
Angelina, you want to go, or I can go ahead?
Lucy, go ahead. Lucy, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, Lucy.
So, thanks, Angelina. So, Aziz, that is a very pertinent question. And before you asked that question, you made a statement and said when you look at teacher well-being, you can look at it from inside out or from outside in. So can I say from both sides? Inside out and outside in. So, you know, we always have this saying, I don't know whether others have it, that don't let someone else take your sunshine away. You know, you are responsible for your own sunshine. You know, you can always see the glass as half full or half empty. And it really, when we say we think about teacher well-being from the inside out, then for me, I always think about the issue of self-reflection. Oftentimes, over the recent past, I can say, you find that people join the profession because it's an income that they are looking for. You know, not necessarily that it is a passion, it is a calling, you know. And so I think some of that can even account for, Aziz, that quote, the statistic you gave, whereby some teachers have checked out. You know, they are physically in the school, but mentally they have checked out. So we know challenges are always there, whether they are within the teaching profession or any other profession, challenges are always there. But then for you, as someone who has decided that I wake up every day and I want to make a difference in the lives of these young people, so what moral responsibility do I have? Then I have to reflect within myself and ask myself, when I wake up today, am I ready for the day? Am I mentally there? They say that teaching is kind of like an acting stage. You know, even if you don't feel like it, just go in there and give your best, you know. Andrew is always saying, and I remember his quote, a happy teacher is a happy student. You know, so if you go in and you are not giving off a good vibe, it's definitely going to rub off on the young people that you are teaching. So, you know, every day as you wake up, having a self-reflection as you prepare yourself mentally to go into the classroom. But again, it is not, there also has to be that external environment. So from out in, that also provides that kind of motivation for you to have the enthusiasm to go and work. You know, so do you have in the school environment, is it supportive? And the school environment supportive doesn't mean that you have every teaching resource that you want. Supportive means that even when we have little, I am supported enough by my school leadership, by my colleagues, even the support staff, the sweeper, the cleaner, the guard at the gate, the students, we are all in sync. The word synergy was used around here earlier on somewhere. I think, Robin, it was in one of your slides. So there has to be that synergy because that synergy then drives me to be enthusiastic, to be able to give my 101%. So I think it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship, inside out and outside in. Thank you.
And again, just to contribute to that, Lucy, thank you for those powerful words, the symbiotic part. I think prior to COVID, I think the teacher was doing everything. And during and after COVID, I think it's the high time to involve the role of the teacher, the role of the parent. If we have to have a teacher who is happy, if we have to have a student who is happy. This time around, during and after COVID, I don't think whether we can ignore the role of the parent. It will be very key because we expect education to evolve. We expect probably even to have homeschooling or even a hybrid kind of teaching and learning. So the thing is that we need to think about how education is going to evolve, because for the last few years, we would say education, immediately after the Second World War, there was progress in teaching and learning up to around mid-1980s. Then from between mid-80s up to around 2020, education was more of stagnated. It was stagnant. Then COVID happened. And when COVID happened, it is like it is making us to work together, to do something different, to teach different, to learn differently. Because in a way, we have been skilled. We have been skilled in a way. How can we handle this situation? Because there's nobody who is an expert of what is happening now. We are all learners. And as a result, that's why we are all coming together to exchange ideas, to have a deep conversation on what we should do. And again, I would say this is just but the start of it all. Probably after today's session, we'll be happy to have a workshop on how to go deeper to teachers' well-being, because it goes further than just the teacher. It extends to the student, it extends to the whole community, because previously the teacher was the father, the teacher was the mother, the teacher was the bigger sister, the teacher was the bigger brother, the teacher was everything. But I think things have to change. We have to unite. The social aspect has to come. Actually, the social aspect has to be the main foundation. First of all, we come together. And if we come together, then we collaborate. If we collaborate, then we grow our mental well-being. If we grow our mental well-being, then there'll be physical well-being. If there's physical well-being, then even financial well-being will be resulting. So it's really a conversation which should be deeper than the way we think, because the teacher drives the whole society. The teacher drives the whole country. And I think this discussion is coming at the right time when schools are reopening, and if they are not reopened in many countries of the world, they are planning to reopen. And we cannot, if we have to progress, we cannot use the same consciousness that took us to the same problems. And I mean, we should also think about post-COVID, because post-COVID was a kind of a catalyst to make us think deeper. But there are other challenges. There is climate change. There are conflicts. There is hunger, food insecurity. So we should really not be focused to COVID alone. We also have other bigger challenges. And it is through teamwork, working together, that we can also support the teacher and have a happy teacher.
Thank you, Andrew. So, Angelina, I actually would love to also hear from you, because you shared such interesting thoughts as well on, firstly, how hard it is for teachers who have a certain disciplinary style that is, we knew before was not helpful. We knew before it didn't work, and it is particularly unhelpful at this point in time. But also just to share in your school,
Yeah.
What have you done? Because you have done something quite remarkable with the teachers in your network, and it's not complex. It's beautiful and it's very human. So perhaps if you could just share with us a little, what are the things that you found in this incredibly fraught time of trying to reintegrate students and teachers back into a school that they've been absent from for nearly a year? What have you implemented to try and support that process happening?
Thank you, Robin. In our institution, first and foremost, I have a teaching staff of 40 teachers and around 21 non-teaching staff. Those are support staff. And first and foremost, when we opened with the Form 4 class, that was in 2012, we had to take them through a day of psychosocial support of what they expect from these students who have come back. And students came back when they were really disoriented. Some students had already engaged themselves in business, and therefore this was like coming back to school was not necessary. Others had undergone some very traumatizing kind of experiences. And therefore, first and foremost, the teachers had to be prepared for the kind of students they are going to meet. The training or the psychosocial support may not have been enough for one day, but at least it set the teachers ball rolling that we have opened at a new short time. And after the students came, they were also went through some psychosocial support. And what we do as a school, first and foremost, is to make sure the teaching environment is we only make sure that the teachers are happy. How do we make them happy? We make them happy by making sure a teacher feels good being in the school. We don't provide everything. We only share meals with them, either some 8 o'clock tea, 10 o'clock tea, lunch. And at times, because teachers may work after school voluntarily, or they are in the staff room doing their own private work or preparation for the following day, there's a cup of coffee and some supper, the supper served to the students. And this makes teachers happy to an extent. Secondly, we also get involved in the teacher's social well-being. In case a teacher is bereaved, we are there for the teacher. We visit the family. We join the teacher during the funeral. And these aspects, which may seem to be very small, are very important to a teacher. Also, when a teacher does not seem to be feeling well, it's a concern of everybody. And this teacher is supposed to get some off day, either to go to hospital. And it's always good when a teacher comes back. I always tell them, report back to me when you are back. Or even I happen to meet them and they have not seen me. I engage them. How are you? Are you better? And suppose a teacher had gone because of a child who is not well, we'll make a follow-up. Is your child better now? Welcome back. We're happy to have you around. And that kind of recognition, that kind of belonging, that kind of I'm cared for is something which can make our teachers do more than expected. Also, the students, as we mind about the welfare of the students, if the students are not good to the teachers may not like the environment where they are in. So this aspect of as teachers' well-being is a concerted effort, as Lucy had said and Andrew earlier on, of the parents. The parents have to be there for their teachers. They have to love them. They'll also have to engage them and also mind about their well-being. Even if it's just a call, how are you doing? How is my class doing? Where we have parents representing classes. Can we engage our class at a certain point so that we can also talk to the students? And this has helped us in a great deal. We also have a forum where we have some parental engagement in our school, where we meet parents in the different levels of their students, like first year, second year, where we call Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. And we take them through how to navigate through teenage years with their daughters. And at this point, the parents are able to support us, even when the students are home, such that when they learn here in school, when they get home, the parents also will assist us. And this has made our work a little bit easier because we do not have students who have so much challenges as they settle down from the long break. About community engagement, the community may not come in so much, and especially at this time when we have COVID. But anytime we have anything we are celebrating in schools, we also engage the community around and invite even the neighboring schools to come along. And this is a kind of where people feel this school belongs to us. And this also gives us a sense of security and a sense of belonging to that kind of an environment. Lastly, Robin, in Kenya, the employee of the teachers, especially in the public schools, have a section or a department which deals with the teacher well-being. It's called Teacher Wellness Center. And this was developed as a result of the challenges which came by as a result of HIV and AIDS. And teachers were going through very traumatizing kind of life. And therefore, the Teacher Service Commission realized that they need to support their teachers, first and foremost emotionally, and even psychologically, and also health-wise, so that they'll be able to deliver. Because training a teacher is not something easy. A teacher gets trained for 4 years, other teachers are trained for 2 years, it is a diploma, or even 3 years. And therefore, the Teacher Service Commission developed that kind of a department. And nowadays, now they are addressing the issue of workaholism, whereby teachers are entitled to a medical leave so that they can go under rehabilitation. And in case they are not well, they still have another extra 3 months so that they can be assisted, because at the rate at which the country was losing teachers to alcoholism and other social kind of challenges was alarming, and it was not very easy for the commission to cope. Also, there's an area there in the same department where there are counselors, full-time counselors, who are able to handle teachers' issues. But this will also happen if a teacher is knows that such services are available within the employer. Lastly and not least, a teacher is a person who is like a co-creator, a person who finishes up the work which God started in us. And therefore, other than just giving a teacher a flamboyant kind of an environment, even that minding bit of an administrator or a teacher minding one another and making use of what is available, other than wishing for what you do not have, makes a teacher's life happy. And if a teacher is happy to be in a school, then the students will also be happy to have such a teacher. Thank you, Robin.
That is so exquisite. We are going to use that as the quote of the session. Teacher is a co-creator who finishes the work that God begins in us. That is with us. That's beautiful. Thank you. So thank you so much. We have really, really appreciated just your beautiful spirits and hearts and the contextual experience that you have both brought to us, Angelina and Lucy. Thank you. Thank you. And what we would love to do now is to use that opportunity of the experiences that we've heard to really unearth some of our own experiences so that we can discuss them in our sessions together. You will have noted when you did your RSVP forms that we actually asked for a little bit of information from you about what your thoughts were on the elements that facilitate teacher well-being and those that detract from teacher well-being. And I wanted to share those with you quickly before we go into the rooms, just to have a little context. And before we do that, again, yes, thank you so much. Michelle, I can't remember if it was you, but somebody who was just noticing Sonia's beautiful artwork again. So Sonia Rademacher is with us again today, participating in our Africa Voices dialogue session and doing her incredibly beautiful acoustic resonance art, which is listening to these voices and listening for the message that lies beyond and how that translates into art. So there is Sonia, and it's beautiful. Worlds of care, yins and yans. I love that. I can't wait to hear from Sonia what she's going to, how she feels about it, and from all of us actually what we see. So at the end, when we've heard, and Sonia, you'll have to choose a group. I'm so sorry. You'll have to choose a group to go into to continue that listening process. But we will have a look and see what piece of art emerges from this session today. What I would love to do now is just again share with you what factors from your own words were those that most serve to enhance our teacher well-being. And I first want to thank Aileen, who is a wonderful support and resource to us, for really looking through all of the 140 RSVPs that we received to extract this data and really put it into a format that becomes visible to us. But it is so interesting to see how powerful, and we will in a later session share the actual data on the statistics, how absolutely critical, number one, financial security is, number two, a suitable environment, and number three, meaningful collaboration came up over and over. Those were the biggest issues. Then in terms of the factors that detract, unsurprisingly, they were reflected as the counterpoints to the things that most damage that. What I found really interesting was that while good leadership was seen to be an incredibly powerful determinant of teacher well-being, it was not as powerful as poor leadership being seen to really create environments where teachers did not feel well. So,
Robin, sorry, I muted all, so can you unmute yourself?
when was that, Aziz? Not a problem. Thank you. So I'm not sure where I lost everybody, but just to say that it really is interesting that it's so powerfully reflected. The things that make us feel well and the things that make us feel not well are very often opposite ends of the same spectrum, and interesting to discuss these. So what we will do now is move into some discussion rooms. We are really excited to invite you for quite a long period. We're going to give 30 minutes to these discussions to ask you to please share your experiences around a particular topic that really resonates for you. So have a look at the topics here. We will open the rooms in a minute or two, and each room will be very gently facilitated. So it's not managed. Each of the people on the panel today will be in one of the rooms and we'll really just hold the space. But what we are looking for is the opportunity for every voice in that room to share what that particular aspect of well-being, of teacher well-being, means to them, what their experiences with it are, where they have found solace and opportunity, and really how we can think together collectively about how to best support teacher well-being and each other. So please, when we go into the rooms, we will record. So please, can the facilitators just remember to record your rooms and what happens within them. And could we also ask that each room appoints a scribe, somebody to just jot down the ideas that come through. You can also share in the chat function, and somebody to share back into the main room when we come back a little later to share our reflections on what's happened in each room with each other. So I'm opening the rooms now, and if you can each choose a room that most resonates for you, and I can't see where the rooms are anymore. I'm going to stop my share just so that I can see. There we go. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Please, I love the concept of circles. I think it's an incredibly important thing, creating circles of connection. Okay. So we'll leave you half a minute to join a room, please, and then 30 minutes in the room. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you, Atai.
Robin is here. Robin is a savior. Hey, Robin.
Oh, no. I was so engrossed in our conversation. Anyway, I hope that was everybody's experience, that you feel very upset to be kicked out of your breakup room with your new friends. So thank you and welcome back, everybody. We would really love to hear what happened in those rooms. So Aziz, I think perhaps if between you and I, we can just remember and call out the rooms, and if somebody was paying attention or would like to share what the theme was, so what the predominant feeling was, that was shared in your sessions and what some takeaway points are for you. Let's start with the mental well-being room, which was very well curated.
We have a reporter. Exactly. Yes, exactly. We had the reporter. Just give her how much time she has to use, Robin. Estelle is our reporter.
Fantastic. Hi, Estelle. So two to 3 minutes.
Okay, brilliant, perfect. So thank you, first of all, to Abdelaziz for chairing this conversation on mental well-being. We had input from Ghana, Kenya, US, Qatar, Egypt, Morocco, Cameroon, etc. It was Botswana. It was a very rich conversation, and I will try to summarize it in a nutshell. First of all, we acknowledge that mental well-being is an issue that is often ignored or taboo in our part of the world, and saying that COVID gives us the opportunity to reverse this situation of taboo, because the hardship and fears COVID brings to the fore in students and in teachers' life help us realize that mental well-being is crucial. Sometimes you have unrealistic demands also from the political realm that adds pressure, like we have in Ghana, for teachers in Ghana, and this makes the situation worse. So all of us, when we talked about what we consider mental well-being to be, we talked about stability, flexibility, resilience, the ability and strategies to face anything. So basically, there was this idea of being superhuman as a definition of mental being. We acknowledge that we ask a lot of ourselves. We think we are supposed to be watertightly, we're supposed to watertightly leave all of our problems out of the school and come ready to face anything. So in conclusion, we said we need emotional intelligence training. We need to seek help when necessary, and we need to nurture caring communities, creating a culture of active listening where we can just share how we feel. It is time to think about teachers' well-being in the same way that we've started to think about children well-being. So I think this is a fair summary of everything we discussed. Thank you.
That was mind-blowingly beautiful, Estelle. And that's the thing, it's human well-being. It's what we need as human beings to be well. It's not different for teachers and learners, but it's important because teachers become responsible for creating those environments. And just to pick up what I loved there, don't let us make the need for us to be well become an additional pressure. The practice of self-compassion and other compassion is probably the most important thing we need to learn. How to be kind and to create time for ourselves. So thank you. That was awesome. Thank you, Estelle. Yeah, you can become our official reporter, please. And let's move on to the physical well-being. So physical well-being, I'm going to ask Aileen to nominate the person to share who will share from between Michelle, Ruth, and Aileen. Who would like to share feedback from the physical well-being room?
I nominate Michelle.
Just unmute Michelle, thanks.
Yes, we took it quite widely because we also thought about physical conditions of a classroom and what you physically have available in a classroom, how that will influence your well-being. For example, having big classes in small spaces can be a problem. We also touched on to security, which schools are located in insecure areas, maybe where there are gangs, and how do you secure the teachers and the children to get to school safely. And then it was mentioned that the communities should buy into those areas, but it's not an easy thing to do. And then we also spoke about that being physically ill and not being well is of course influenced by mental and emotional stress. So that's, and there are many teachers in South Africa that died because of COVID, because they had comorbidities. And how sad that is, that, you know, that some of our teachers are not physically healthy. Is there anything else you would like to add, Eileen, Ruth?
No, I believe you've captured everything.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, it was really interesting because the spectrum really went the full gamut of what physical means, how, you know, from environmental to community to body to simple things like life insurance and policies, health policies and housing. Really interesting. Thank you. So next up is our group on social well-being. And Andrew, perhaps somebody in your group is able to speak about, oh, sorry, it's not Andrew. Who from the social well-being space has been nominated as spokesperson?
So social well-being is from Lucy's group?
Yes. So Lucy?
Yes, we were fortunate to have one gentleman among ladies. So he will represent us very well all the way from Mumbai, Dr. Chakrad.
Yeah, can you hear me? So
yes.
I have posted in the chat some of the notes I've taken. I think you'll see 18 bullet points, but just to quickly summarize what we felt is there is a lot to be done by ourselves, with our colleagues, with administration like heads of department or principal and so on. Social well-being could be is important because otherwise you may feel isolated, you may feel anxious, you may feel bitter, you may end up gossiping, despair. So the thing then is we needed to create moments for interaction. So mini spaces. So we've listed some mini spaces like common areas, coffee machines, time and space around seminars, maybe doing a health check during department meetings. And then there was a very interesting practice that Lucy shared. Tuesday 10 a.m. was their tea and snacks time. So everybody would show up there. And so that's a good way of creating that social interactions. And of course, as always, we were also looking at what does it take to create the social well-being and examples. So I picked my favorite example from Tamkeen, and of course, Karima is here. So I won't speak more about it, except that I think it's what's been working in Morocco is the engagement and a free and frank conversation, a space to have the conversation between students, teachers, and community, and even administrators. So I think just holding that space itself is important. So we felt at the end of it, belonging is the key, and as important as anything else, that all of us being aware that on this aspect or the other aspects of well-being, that we should check on ourselves and check on our colleagues, that awareness was important. That's my 2-minute summary for the group. I hope Dr. Lucy, Beatrice, Gladys are happy with that. For mistakes, excuses.
Just wonderful. Thank you, Chakri, for sharing that with us. And thank you for your support of the dialogues. Thank you. And then we move on to emotional and spiritual well-being. And so, Angelina, who in your group is going to share for us?
Robin, we nominated Tanya all the way from London to represent our views. Welcome, Tanya.
You need to unmute Tanya. You're muted, Tanya.
Unmute.
Thank you,
Unmute.
Chakri. Thank you, Dr. Chakri. Yes, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We can,
Yes,
we
Tanya.
can.
Yes,
we
yes,
can.
yes, yes, yes.
You can. Very good. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to give you a little roundup of what we've discussed in our breakout room, especially because I'm from London and I'm just, interested in what is happening in Africa. And I'm so touched that where the conversation has been going, and it's all about bringing that empathy and that compassion into the fields where you are working, and the way also the conversation in our room went, where we've heard these amazing community-based learning ecosystems that have been developing in Morocco, and the need for teachers to feel at ease as well at schools. Again, it will probably depend on, different leadership styles and the importance of that. And leaders should always be approachable and empathic and regularly check in with teachers. So coming back to the holistic aspect of everything and how school is centrally part of the society, and whatever's happening in society is happening at schools and vice versa, and bringing of the two together. And in Morocco, they are, for example, facilitating these healing conversations between schools and communities. So bringing everybody together, that feeling of togetherness as well that is created by such interventions, and the vulnerability, being to be able to be vulnerable in the rawness of often trauma, yes, that many communities may deal in the background as well, not just the COVID situation. And then again, celebration that brings everyone together, and this is the spiritual aspect of how we can all work together as human beings and as communities. So yes, because teachers often, may end up feeling lonely and overwhelmed, especially now. They may turn to religions, but they are to religion as well for their spiritual support, but they might still be challenged. And teachers also need somewhere to talk and somewhere where they can express their feelings, and have a sense that they can emotionally manage all the challenges that are presented to them. And it's very important that teachers should be teachers by vocation. It's a calling that makes a person also be willing, to bring everything together and not be divided within themselves between how they live and who they are. So we were discussing about this as well, the importance of the vocation and not just making a living. So yes, I suppose I have a few more notes, but yes, there was one interesting note there that COVID was in South Africa, that disconnected the teachers from, there was lots of technical problems as well when they were trying to reach out to teachers with group coaching sessions, especially in rural areas. So, but they still went and reached out and tried to do whatever it was possible. So yeah, different areas might experience different challenges with regards to that. So yeah, I hope that I kind of gave you an idea of what we discussed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya. That was really beautiful. And just thank you, Karima, for again managing the language translation so beautifully. Thank you. And then our final group, financial well-being. So Andrew, who in your group is going to share?
Yes, we had 7 members in our group, and our secretary was Tanaka. Tanaka, please go ahead. Unmute yourself, please, Tanaka. Yes, thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I hope you good. Yes, my name is Tanaka Zinger, as Andrew has said. So, yeah, I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm 18 years old. Thank you very much for this interactive session. So, in Zimbabwe, what we've realized is that the current situation is really tricky, and most entirely, students end up paying money and they don't go to schools, and people find it useless to pay the money because the money doesn't go at times to the compensation, but it goes to other channels of what the coronavirus is doing harm to. So channels of money have turned into something else. And so yeah, as our group, what we covered up was really interesting because some of yeah, EUNI shared something saying that hearing all the submissions, Angeline, what you're doing in the institution, it is a breath of fresh air. In Uganda, the teaching process is left for those who can get a course to university. So sad. That's we run a program where we teach educators how to run their passion, empower them, then to grow financially, not wait for government funding, then teach them how to use that passion to grow their students. We are yet to make bigger strides, but in 2,000 plus teachers, we have reached the change as priceless. So the current situation is that usually the demand already on teachers is so much so that at times, even when a teacher gets fired, on the spot, it's really normal at times because, yeah, as I had said, there's a lot of teachers in all linked to teachers themselves coming together, the social aspect, right? It's all linked to being mentally fit because they will need the equipment, the equipping, the empowerment to be encouraged also that they are also people and that they are important, even though they can be fired right on the spot, right? So yeah, that is what we came to agree on as a team. And so yeah, that is basically what I can add on. Thank you very much.
That was amazing. Tanaka, you give us hope. We want the space to be as much for our young people and students as it is for educators. It's a whole space because this is a whole journey for all of us. So what an amazing set of engagements and feedback. It has just been wonderful. I would really love to ask Aziz if you could take another picture just before we close off for the session, a couple of things. If we could maybe have a look at Sonia's beautiful artwork that she has created and ask her for her reflections on how that artwork was developed, so that we can see the resonance with the conversation that's happened today, and we can see our voices reflected in a different way. Sonia, I hope that you will be happy to do that. And then we would like to just share with you and ask your opinion about the next engagement. Yes, Aziz.
Robin? If you don't mind, I will take maybe 1 minute or two to share a poem I wrote once when I felt a little bit kind of low, and I came up with this poem and I want to share it with everyone if you don't mind.
Please, we'd love that. And you'll have to write it in the chat group for us as well.
Okay, maybe I'll write it if you give Sonia a time to express what she has come up with.
We want you to read it, and then while Sonia is talking, you can write it.
Yeah, if you don't mind. So I think that I want to read it because I feel like it relates to well-being. So as I was these days, the last few weeks, I've been looking for poems written by Africans on well-being or issues related to well-being, and I have failed to find one. So just thought I would share something I wrote. I don't know if it qualifies as a poem or not, but I wrote, I will no more cry. I will live and smile. I'll cherish life for a while. I will make of winter spring. I will cheer up and sing. Like a moon I will shine, and all the stars will be mine. Because I know that life on earth flourishes with joy and mirth. And those who mourn and cry, so sad and young, they will die. Like flowers that grow in autumn, do die before they blossom. Thank you so much for listening.
Beautiful poem there, Aziz.
Thank you so much.
Oh, beautiful, yes.
Yeah, beautiful poem.
Thanks, Aziz, for sharing your emotions and your feelings.
Give us some of the stars.
Well done. Aziz, we really enjoyed what you shared with us. God bless you.
Thank you so much, brother.
We hope to have a singer next time to sing for us for a little bit.
Not a singer, no.
Yes,
oh, no.
not a joke. We want one of you that is a singer.
Yeah.
That person on this group who is a singer, let us know.
Yeah, we would like to hear it.
And when we close today, we are putting on Kenya's music, and we are putting our videos on, and we are dancing as we leave. So, Aziz, could you share Sonia's?
I just wanna. Can I say something before you end up?
Yes.
Of course. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. I enjoyed so much today, and I just noticed something, that among all the groups, the breakout groups that we attended, one maybe or two of them, but I found out that we all agree on one thing, that it is our responsibility as teachers to create this healthy environment for us and for students. So I am happy to realize that this is a common understanding between us. Thank you.
Yes.
And we do it together because, and this is a space. I mean, we can actually create well-being even if we've never met, just by creating space to listen and time.
Yeah.
Time and space. Thank you. So Sonia, over to you, because that is so exquisite. That is so beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks. So yeah, you just spoke about time and space, and I think that's the sensibility of this very drawing. I started with just Kenya being central to our discussion. Forgive me, I didn't listen to everybody's names, but the two ladies speaking and their thoughts around that, and connected to other speakers. And I think Tanaka from Zimbabwe actually I do remember his name, just really said it so beautifully, that it's all about interconnectedness on many, many levels, and that if we are to stay healthy, we need to stay connected to one another.
I love it. I love it.
I like that. If we have to stay healthy, we have to keep on staying connected with each other. Very good.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. And, you know, Karima, you must be so happy to hear these words. Our interconnectedness, that goes between us and creates the space within which we can be. And what I love,
much like nerve cells?
it does. It looks a neuron. It looks to me like a woman, a person embracing the universes. And what is amazing is that there are 5 centers of thought as well, which are our 5 breakaway rooms, which is not, from what I understand, actually how Sonia necessarily developed those 5 centers. Just
no, but
amazing.
It's interesting how, I think just subliminally, you know, it just happens.
Thank you so much, Sonia. It's really exquisite.
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, everybody.
Very beautiful.
Beautiful. So the final thing before we put our music on and we have a little dance is to say, create a space for Lucy and Angelina to close, for us to say thank you. And what we would love to know is, we have a very strong sense that it would be incredibly valuable to have our next workshop focus on well-being, so that we take these conversations and we actually start looking at how do we embrace this further? How do we support each other so that we can create?
I'm sorry, Robin, I unmuted everyone again. So
no problem.
A lot of noise.
Not a problem. So we would love to, if you could just give a thumbs up on your video, or even better in the chat group, say yes or no. That helps us to determine whether that would be a useful workshop for you. With that, please, 30 seconds from Angelina, 30 seconds from Lucy, comment closing out from Andrew and Aziz, and I will put music and we can all put our videos on and have a little dance. So Angelina.
Oh, thank you, Robin. I take this opportunity to thank all of you for this very important forum which you have had, which was hosted by Kenya. And I've really enjoyed every bit of sharing. And this topic has been very well developed by the people who took part in the discussions. And I kept on wondering, when next? Which topic next? I think it will be of good importance to all of us, as well as another topic which we had which was about empowering students beyond the school. I'll appreciate each and every person for their contributions. And I felt so much at ease when the audience was so much engaged and were rich of ideas. Thumbs up to Naka and Tanya, who happens to be very young and embracing this forum as though they have been in education for the better part of their lives. I'm so grateful, and we are highly honored by this sharing. Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Lucy.
Well, it's, you know, sometimes you experience something and you really don't, you don't have much to say because you're just so overwhelmed by what has come out of it. And it's so inspirational. And I always thank your team for the creativity with which you organize these events. You say, don't, you know, like for those of us who are in academia, we come with all these theories in our heads and all that. But it's so refreshing to be in an environment where we just have conversations and really speaking true to the title of this series, which is Africa Voices Dialogue. So I am very appreciative, and having those breakout rooms really gives everyone of us an opportunity to be heard, which is essentially what the theme of this is about. And nobody's wrong, nobody's right. We're just sharing our experiences, which is actually what happens out in practice. So I really want to thank you, and I'm humbled. As I said earlier on when we began, we are not experts. We're just here to share our experiences, and thank you for that. Now, my hero today is Tanaka. He is just amazing. I wish I could have jumped into the screen and hugged him.
Me too.
You know, when I see when I see such young people, I know education as a field has a future, and the future is happening right now. For an 18-year-old to be in the midst of all of us and talk so confidently and articulate issues, we have to thank Tanaka and thank his teacher for what he or she has done to bring out such a wonderful, confident, smart young man. We are so proud of him today.
Thank God.
He's my hero.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I love what we are doing. Let's have more projects. Let's empower. Let's do more international. Let's do it. It's time. This is the time to build right now, not tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanaka. We are really,
Well
very
done,
proud
Tanaka.
of you.
Well done.
Well done, Tanaka. You have represented so many youth. Your confidence spoke a lot. And this session would not have been possible without each and every one of you. So we appreciate all of you, because in Africa Voices Dialogue, all voices matter. That is, every voice is heard, is loved, and it is shared. So we are really grateful for all of your participation. As we said from the start, this session was to be more of a conversation, and that is what has really happened. Everybody has contributed, and everybody's voice was valued, was shared, and it was loved. And that one can only happen in Africa Voices, where we value what is really happening from the ground. So we are very happy. As they say, none of us is as smart as all of us. None of us is as smart as all of us. We started as a group, we contributed as a group, and we are finishing as a team. Thank you so much. I'm only looking forward to the next session, because I think the follow-up session should be a workshop, because teachers' well-being is very comprehensive. It touches on the parents, it touches on the school, it touches on the whole system of education. So I think the follow-up session, if we all agree, I can see a lot of yes from the chat that you are all agreeing that we have a session after this of a workshop. That one will be so much encouraging to hear. And again, let us make Africa Voices Dialogue as our home. Here we don't value expertise. We value the voices from the ground. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to the next session.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Robin, I would like to take a few seconds to thank all those of you who have been here with us. And I would like to give some special thanks to a few people who have been supporting Africa Voices Dialogue by talking to people around about the dialogues and the sessions, inviting their friends and network. I thank Shakri, Karima, thank you Tanya, thank you Sonia, thank you all for coming back to Africa Voices Dialogue. Everyone who has come back times and again to Africa Voices Dialogue. You don't need a passport to come to Africa Voices Dialogue. You just need to board in, okay? You're welcome. Share your ideas with us. Whatever you think might help us thrive as educators in this world. We're trying to connect Africa to the world and connect the world to Africa. Thank you so much for being here. I am really blessed and grateful to be with you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So please put your videos on. We would love to see your beautiful faces. Aziz, can you do the honors? And this is this is the thing. We hope to.
Everybody
so we're taking a picture of the participants today that I will share with everyone later, okay?
Abdelaziz, everybody should put their videos on for this
sure.
photo.
I hope so.
Elaine, we need
Please.
you. Elaine, we need to see you.
Eileen, we need you in the picture. We need you guys. Please put your pics on. I am going to start the music. We are going to say, please belong here, and wherever you go, create spaces of belonging. It's so, so very important. We're human beings. We need to belong. Thank you, Karima, for staying with us the whole time. We value you so much. Thank you to each one of you. We value you so much. And now my music has gone. Help me, help me. Oh, Andrew.
and Stephen Bidi, thank you so much for your time, and also for bringing guests from Germany. Thank you so much. We honor you.
We're gonna make you sing, Andrew. Here it comes. All right, so the music is
on.
Those who want to dance are going to dance.
Well, I think we are going to dance without the music then. Let's just play it with our,
It's coming. It's just a really long intro, which I had got past. There we go.
Oh God.
Dance, guys.
Sounds beautiful just to dance in Kenya,
That's it. Brighter days. They are to come.
Yeah.
Those who can sing, those who know this song, the Kenyans in this room, we want you to sing.
They are Kenyans.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Hey, yeah.
I'm there. Actually, are you there?
Oh yes.
Adika, you should be dancing. You should be dancing.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for
Bye.
Bye, Tanya.
Bye, everyone.
Pleasure.
Greetings from London. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Kwaherini.
Bye.
Kenya hakuna matata.
Kenya hakuna matata.
Hakuna matata.
Hakuna matata.
Bye-bye.
You guys don't want to go, hey. It's really hard work to have a party, so we're going to have one online. Next time we bring our champagne.
Maggie, I hope you are dancing wherever you are.
That was a great session, Angelina and Lucy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abdulaziz.
Thank you so much.
It's the first time to attend and participate, and I really enjoyed. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you. Bye.
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 See you soon.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Anastasia.
Bye.
Thank you, Angelina and Lucy. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Andrew.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you in the next dialogue.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Malimu.
But my device doesn't have the camera. That's why
Thank you,
I'm.
Maggie. It was pleasure seeing you, Maggie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Robin, I taught Maggie. Maggie was my student in high school before research.
That's amazing.
Yes, here now. She was my student.
He was a teacher who knew what well-being was. I can assure you. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Bye, Patrick.
Patrick, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you. Asante sana.
Thank you. Karibu sana. Richard, thank you. Richard, we value you. Sophia Rasa, we love you.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Andrew, I'm here. Goodbye. Evie there.
Kotso, thank you. We value you.
Bye.